Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. As a reminder, we are live every other Thursday at those four locations at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch video replays of the show, you can check out our YouTube page or head over to Heavy Metal Television. That is our main hub for all things Talking into Infinity. If you want to check out the audio replays, just Google Talking into Infinity podcast, and we're pretty much anywhere you can find your podcast. So check it out there. Making his triumphant return to the show, my long-lost co-host, Brian Hendrickson. What's going on, man? You're back.
Hey, has it been 2 weeks already?
Man, see, this time it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I appreciate you filling in. I really missed the show. I don't know how much I missed you, but we can talk about that later. But yeah, first of all, I got to go see the Rush movie, and I'll touch on that in a second. But then I was sick as a dog. Did not have COVID, but I gave it to my wife, and now she's sick and she wants to kill me. And as we said, that's nothing new anyway, but now it's like to a whole new level, like actually hiring someone to do it, double checking the life insurance, all those sort of things. But it's awesome to be back. And it sucks being sick when you're old because I actually had to have her take me to the emergency room at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday night, Monday morning before we're supposed to both be working.
Wow.
And it's like, and we get there and it's like, I explain what's going on. Like I told you, I had this horrendous sore throat. It felt like I was swallowing glass. I couldn't eat. I couldn't talk. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. So you get there and they're like, and you tell them everything's going on. So they're like, oh, so you have a sore throat, huh? Just so condescending and like, what in the world are you doing here at the emergency room?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's why I woke my wife up at 2 a.m, so I could come in here because I'm just hardly sick at all. But anyway, I'm much better now, and it's awesome. And the week before, I got to go see the Rush movie, the R40 celebration again. I'd seen it before. They added some new stuff, and it really dawned on me. Without Rush, we honestly would not have this show, and that's really kind of a testament to someone who's not even in the band anymore. And I think that's Mike Portnoy.
Okay.
He was such a ginormous Rush fan. He was a huge Neil Peart fan. He was close to Neil up until the end, until he passed away. He was one of the few people that knew how sick Neil was. But, Portnoy was the one that sort of kept everything together and kept that band going and turn it into be able to what it is today. And I just do not think we would have a Dream Theater if there was no Rush. I think it was that big of an influence on him and also on Petrucci. But, just what a great band. And it's just the idea of three guys being in a band together that long. It's unheard of. It just simply does not happen. Now I understand John Rutsey was on the first album, but it's like, when you talk about the Beatles, you don't talk about Pete Best, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing. But yeah, it was just a great experience. And, knowing that's the last time you're going to see most of those songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. It's funny you mentioned that. Yesterday was, the 1 year anniversary of Eddie Van Halen passing away. And that's, Van Halen is my favorite band. Eddie Van Halen's like my musical idol. And, I thought the same thing. It's, there's been a few Van Halen tribute shows that have come around in the last year, and I've had to miss all of them. So it's like, well, that's really the only way I'm ever going to see these songs again. Sammy Hagar plays a few of them, but yeah, it's kind of bittersweet in a way, isn't it? like with Neil Peart passing and Eddie Van Halen, it's different if they retire, because it's like, okay, you could come out of retirement and do shows, okay, whatever, pull a Motley Crue or an Ozzy, but when like the main guy dies, like it's done. I mean, it's like same thing with Pantera. There was never going to be that hypothetical, Zakk Wylde, with the other three guys of Pantera tour, because they're like, nah, man, you got to have Dimebag to do Pantera. So,
yeah, I mean, there's some really cool Rush tributes out there. I mean, obviously, you have to be good. You can't put together a terrible Rush tribute because you're not going to ever get booked. But there's some really good tributes out there, so you can still see that. But yeah, I mean, just what an end of just an epic era of just a three group of guys that they were just great friends. I mean, they were friends and they were musicians before they were anything else. And like, I don't know if you remember, you read most of the Kiss books by all the different members. Like the Gene Simmons one was hilarious because he was talking about, I think they had just done Farewell to Kings, maybe. It was either that or Fly By Night, and they had the cassette of it, and they played it for Gene, and he thought it was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard of his life, And he talked about, backstage touring with Rush. Oh, they're in there reading a book, we're down here with the hall with 9 groupies and doing whatever, and supposedly not drinking since Gene never drank, But
totally.
Yeah, but it's just hilarious because just such a serious group of musicians, and that's all they cared about was just being friends and the music, and and all the hardships Neil went through with the passing of his daughter and his wife, and just all the the horrible things that he went through, family wise, and then to still keep going with Rush. He had breaks here and there when this stuff happened, but it was like just what a testament to just a cool, great group of guys. And hopefully that band just kind of lives on. Hopefully we continue to find like lost recordings, and they put out special editions for the fans. I mean, they obviously they don't need the money, none of those guys do, but I think they'll do enough stuff for the fans to keep that legacy alive. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Well, I mean, they, with how many years they were around, 40 plus, there's stuff out there. There's definitely stuff out there that is, I'm sure they'll be able to, like you said, special edition releases and things like that, remasters, whatever. So I'm sure it'll continue, and it's cool you got to see that. I didn't they just say they're releasing some special version of it on Blu-ray now or something?
Yeah, I think they've done a few versions. If you look online, there's 2 or 3 different versions, and there's different songs. There's a bunch of more songs that were not actually in the movie that are on some of the Blu-rays and whatnot, because otherwise I think it'd be like a 4-hour movie or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna look and see what they eventually come out with, and hopefully it'll be like a super deluxe pack with just about everything you can get on there.
Sure.
But one of the coolest things was, like, if you're a Rush fanatic who's listening, like, there was a sound check of Jacob's Ladder off of Permanent Waves, which is just one of their most amazing songs. They didn't play a whole lot of. It's a kind of a cult classic, I guess. But it was cool seeing like a sound check of that with nobody there in an outdoor amphitheater. And it's like, oh man, I haven't heard him play this song like basically ever,
Right.
I didn't go see them in 1980 when that tour was out or whatever. I didn't see him until a few years later.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's cool stuff like that. But it's awesome to be back, man. I'm super excited to get into our Dream Theater talk again.
Me too, man. Real quick final note on that. Cale, our buddy Cale McLeish, good to see you. Cale will actually be on with us in a couple weeks. Guest hosting again. He says that it's going to be a video on demand release. I don't think it's coming out on physical release. So I guess we'll find out. So real quick before we get into some Dream Theater stuff here real quick. Our next show is actually going to be on Friday, October 22nd, not our usual Thursday. We're going to do an immediate react to A View from the Top of the World. It's not going to be like our standard album deep dive. So you and I are going to have to hold off on listening to the record since we just got it about 45 minutes ago, and we listened to some bits and pieces of it. And what's your immediate reaction to the little bits that you listened to?
Oh my God. Probably. Well, I forgot to comment on Invisible Monster because you guys got to hear it and then talk about it. Yep. Talking about Invisible Monster, not super impressed or thrilled with that song. I thought it was okay. But what the bits I've heard of another song that we both listened to, up there more with the Alien in terms of, wow, this is very cool and
yep,
very atmospheric and fits, you can I don't know, you could just feel it. You can feel what they're going for. It creates a mood and an atmosphere, and can't wait to hear the rest.
I know. So we both listened to like the first 2.5 minutes of Sleeping Giant. I listened to about the first minute and a half of Awaken the Master. I had to hear what this 8-string sounds like, and God, is that weird. It's like, it is so weird to hear something that detuned in a Dream Theater song. It's I can't wait to listen to the whole thing. It's really going to take some self-control for me to wait until October 22nd to listen to this thing, because I just want to dig right into it.
That's what I was going to ask you. Are you gonna try to hold off on the rest, or?
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it, but I don't know that you can. I don't know that I have that much faith in you being able to do it.
Well, I mean, it sucks because like the way I usually like to listen to new records, especially now that they come out on Fridays, is I'll take a long way home from work and I'll drive through the metro parks and just kind of like getting like, especially since the weather's still good, I can just drive with the windows down, and it's like nice weather, and just crank the shit out of it. And tomorrow being Friday, like I've got the record, I could totally do that. And I'm like, don't do it. So yeah, it's going to be difficult for me to not do that. But I can already tell that I have some thoughts about the record and how it ties into the record that we are going to get into tonight. That being its predecessor, the Distance Over Time album. So I was listening to this all week and, kind of digging into it. And I got to say, this is one of their best records. To me, this is a great record, and I think it's going to be a difficult task for A View from the Top of the World to follow it up, not because the new one isn't going to be great, but because I think Distance Over Time is just so awesome. So, what are your initial thoughts, real quick, about the record before we go song by song on this?
And listening to it again, it's a little more. I think the word I want to use is eclectic than I thought.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't want to say it's in a negative way. It's not as cohesive as I thought it was, in that the songs are very more individualized than I had kind of remembered. There's some that share similarities, but there's a lot of different things going on, and I'm with you. I think, we don't want to give away when we ultimately do our countdown, but this is going to be up there, pretty. It'll be in the top quarter at least, or whatever.
Yeah,
I think ultimately. Well, I guess we'll have to see what the new one does.
Yeah. JG3, what's up, man? Good to see you again. He says, I love Distance Over Time. I actually wrote a review for it before it came out, and it was the first Dream Theater review I wrote, and I was so conflicted as to whether it was me being a fanboy or it was that good. No, I don't think it's fanboying. Oddly enough, I actually have kind of opposite thoughts than you do. I mean, I think we both think it's a good record, but I think it's very cohesive, and I don't think it's really eclectic. I thought it was more like metal and aggressive. But I mean, again, we both agree that it's a fantastic record. So, JG, it's not a fanboy thing to say it's a good record. And hell, even if it was a fanboy thing, you're a Dream Theater fan, so it doesn't matter. You're allowed to do that. We have a whole podcast dedicated to the band, so we know all about fanboying. So, yeah, I think and this one, man, it's like I said, there's a certain aggression to this. It's like there's an immediacy, and it definitely sounds like they recorded it live in a room, like they were writing and recording live in a room together. Like there's that sense of immediacy to it. And to me, it's got this whole like F you, we still got it vibe going on. Like I think it's definitely an answer to the Astonishing critics. I think after that was such a polarizing record, I really think this one, they just came out and were like, all right, look, we're not screwing around anymore. Like you guys are writing us off. Like here, we're gonna punch you right in the mouth. And I think it's a statement record. So I loved it when it came out, and I listened to this one a lot. It's got a lot of replay value for me. Do you find yourself going back to this one?
Yeah, and we talked about this before. This is really the first album where Mangini contributes.
Yes,
contributes a lot, and I think it shows. And I think even in one of my song synopsis, I did use the word immediacy or urgency or something along those lines. But there's definitely, it's very organic. Also, I agree with that word. I think it's almost like it's a classic sounding album, yet it's still modern. Is the best way that I can put it.
That's an excellent description. Yes.
Like it almost sounds like there's parts of it that almost have a bit of a 70s type of a feel. It's kind of a warm analog, thing going on, but it's also very modern sounding too, to me, in most of the songs. Now we'll probably get 12 people to come on here and say they hate the production on it or say it sounds totally different, but that's my take on it. And you and I have always agreed that we love the sound of this album.
Yeah. It's weird that it's quieter than other records, but it sounds fantastic. I mean that's one of my notes. I mean, outside of 6 Degrees and maybe Awake, this might be my favorite production of theirs. I mean, it just sounds fat. It hits you. It's a big sounding record, man. I love it. So, Nathaniel Rojas, what's up, man? Distance Over Time is totally one of their best records, the best since 6 Degrees, in my opinion. You know what? I might actually agree with that. I mean, for me, The Astonishing is ungodly good, but I think to me that one's almost outside of. It's a whole different entity because it's a different experience. So I mean, if you take that out of there, I would say the best since 6 Degrees for me too.
Well, I think knowing this fan base the way I do, that's probably a popular opinion. I mean, I bet you would get at least a 50% of the Dream Theater fanboys would probably agree with what he just said and what you said.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we dig into this song by song here? I will let you go first with the album opener, Untethered Angel. What do you got?
Yeah, so I'm on record previously. I was a little underwhelmed musically the first time I heard this, mainly just the chorus. But one of the first things I did notice, as we talked about, was the production was awesome. Like I said, it has that classic yet modern sound. I love all the verses. There's like those little double syncopated things with the keyboard and guitar doubling each other. There's just like those fusion type riffs. And then they're trading solos off and on in that song. And to me, that's the best part of that song. It's a solid opener. I still tend to think it's one of the weaker songs on the album, just when you compare it. But like I said, the first thing I did notice was that production. I'm like, oh man, thank God, cool. We've got a really great sounding album here. Again, the chorus, kind of a little, not, I don't think it's amazing, but I do love all the verses.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I have some very similar notes. The trading off solos, I've got that in there. I love that. And it goes into the harmony guitar and key parts, which you and I are both huge fans of. So you get that quintessential Dream Theater, sound in there. I think this one and Fall Into the Light are very. They're more straightforward, I would say, as Dream Theater songs go, and they kind of are lumped into the same category. They're very similar to me when you think about it, and which is kind of ironic because when they released those as the first two songs, I was kind of like, like, is this going to be a less diverse record? And I should not have doubted them. But I like the chorus. I think it's cool. Like I find myself singing it and everything. I think the other thing about this record is that there's so much melody all over it that even on a song like Untethered Angel, like if you took this song off of this record and put it on one of the weaker records, it would definitely by far be the best track, which I think speaks to the quality of the rest of the album. I think we talked about this during our episode of album opening songs, that this is one of those good examples of a song that, it might not be the best song on the record, but it definitely does a great job of setting the table for what's to come. So I dig it for that reason. I think it's cool. It's like, all right, well, I was expecting a little bit more of a metal record, and that's exactly what we ended up getting. So I really like this song. I thought it was a great show opener. I like it. Moving on to track 2, Paralyzed. This is actually one of my favorite Dream Theater songs, period, much less on this record. Something about this song, it's like the melodies are just huge. It's concise and to the point. It's atmospheric. I mean, the chorus is really simple. Just I'm paralyzed. But just something about the way that the music meshes with that vocal, it's so unique to me. I love it. And I was thinking about this today. I'm like, why does this song hit me differently than some other songs? And I realized that it kind of feels like These Walls to me off of Octavarium. And These Walls is also one of my favorite Dream Theater songs. So I think, there's some similarities there to me. So I think that's why I like this one so much.
Yeah, cool song. I will say we've heard this guitar riff before. It's not a totally unique thing to this guitar riff that he's doing there. It's a little bit of a variation on a lot of different songs they have, which is fine. I love the fills on the piano in the second verse, and then it's the piano is modulating up right before you get to the chorus, and I think that really is what sells this song for me. Like you said, you have that atmospheric breakdown, and then we get to what we've just always talked about, this new John Petrucci of this melodic singular notes establishing this theme where he just takes on the melody. Here's my melody, I'm dumping it in here, and it just always sounds amazing. And then he goes right into his solos, and it's fairly minimal as part of the solo part, but it's like this short shred type phrasing, but it's just super effective.
Yeah.
And just be a great song to hear live, that's for sure.
Yeah. I did leave this out when we were talking about overall notes for the record. This is definitely a guitar player's record. I mean, if you're into John Petrucci's guitar playing in Dream Theater, especially like his solos, this is the record you want to check out. I mean, I was really noticing that, like, cranking it up on headphones. I'm like, man, these solos are blistering on this record, man. It's just, man, it's definitely a guitar-driven record for sure. Kale says, yay, we're 20 minutes in and I disagree with John. Paralyzed for me is one of the weaker songs on Distance Over Time. I don't know what it is about it, but it just doesn't hit me. Well, there you go, our difference of opinion. I loved it. First time I heard it, I was like, oh, this song rules. And it's never left me. The one thing I like about it is if I want to play Dream Theater on the touch tunes where we're at a bar or something, my wife gets all mad, like, don't be doing that. Those are like 15-minute long songs. I'm like, no, I got one that's like 4.5, 5 minutes. So she'll tolerate it.
I mean, it sounds to me like Kale doesn't want to be on the show in 2 weeks. So if he keeps up this type of behavior.
Yeah. Keep quiet, Kale. Don't lose your spot. But all right, track 3, Fall Into the Light.
Super heavy, sludgy riff.
Very Metallica-esque, I thought.
Yeah, Metallica-esque. And we also get 8 different time signatures before we're even about 60 seconds in. You
Right.
get some, it sounds like almost blast beats, those long snare fills from Mangini.
Yep.
I love the chorus on this song. It's like a great juxtaposition, really, between that main riff and then you get like his signature formula of just mixing the major and minor keys in there. We always talk about that's a key thing this band does. But the goofiest thing about this song, what do we get halfway in? It's Metallica, The Unforgiven, Part 9. It's like out of the Clint East. It's like straight out of the Clint Eastwood 1960s Western, man.
Yep.
You get that guitar and doing the harmonies, and you don't see this coming at all. That's what's so amazing about it. It's like, wait, where in the heck did this come from? But it actually works. It works, and it almost turns it into 2 different songs.
Yeah.
But then we end up going back into that killer organ solo. And you get back in the chorus, but yeah, it's just like, it's one of those songs like, let's say you're listening to it and all of a sudden you decide, let me skip halfway through to see what happens. You'd be like, wait a minute, did I go too far or something?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so out there. Like, and the closest thing like I said, I can come to is it's like, it does have that Unforgiven, like a Western kind of almost like thing to it, but I love it. I think it sounds cool.
Yeah, no, I really, really like this song. I think you're spot on. As I said before, I kind of lumped this one in with Untethered Angel. I think this one's a little more interesting, I would say. The main riff, like I say, totally reminded me of a Metallica type of a riff, kind of like a new wave of British heavy metal influence type of a thing. The middle section to me is awesome because the way it builds back into, the heavy parts of the song. And I thought that was really cool. It kind of goes up and up and then going back into that. And then, like you said, into the organ solo. And then when they finally get back into it, it's just, okay, enough of that wussy stuff. Let's get back to business here.
Yep.
So I think this is a good example of, what they were going for on this record, and it was very similar to the self-titled album. They said they were trying to take their usual songwriting and songwriting style and condense it a little bit into, like, trim the fat, so to speak. And I think this is a great example of that on this record, because you get, like you said, a bunch of different time changes. You get that crazy middle part. You get the metal. You get some cool soloing in there. And it's it all works really well, and it's, a very concise song. So I think they did a great job on this one for sure. So moving on to, I think, a song that everybody can agree on. And if people disagree with us on this, then we're just going to ban them from the chat. Barstool Warrior. I mean, seriously, this is basically a perfect song. I mean, I know you and I are in complete agreement about this song. This is just, I will never forget seeing the track listing for this record when it came out. I'm like, what the hell kind of song title is that? Barstool Warrior. And then when I listened to the record, I was like, I don't care if they call it Pile of Shit in the Street. Like, this song is awesome. Like, this song is amazing. I mean, this is just a perfect example of their ability to use melody. They are a heavier band, but this song, like, the melodies just work everywhere. It's perfect. There's really cool changes. It's kind of one of those storytelling type of things, which gives it a really cool vibe. I like, in the second chorus when they go to the full time, that just really builds it up. And I mean, just the orchestration underneath those choruses is second to none. The way that the whole song builds to that big ending, the guitar solos are just perfect. Like, this song is just incredible. It's one of the very best songs that they have ever done. It's got to be, I mean, if we ever had to rank, favorite songs, period, like, this would probably be in my top 10, maybe even my top 5. You're muted. This is why I told you to quit muting yourself all the time.
Is it easier to hear me talk if I'm not muted? Okay.
That's going to be awesome on the audio version.
Yeah. Yeah, so this to me, it sort of signals this is what the new Dream Theater sounds like. This is like them at their all-time best here. And it would be kind of fun sometime to sit down. Somebody's probably already done it, but like to do it from our perspective, like, okay, there's like 6 different ways Dream Theater can start a song. And one of my favorites is these circular riffs on the guitar that they're almost like hypnotic when, the way that Petrucci plays, and when you start getting those cool chords, that are put behind it by Rudis. And there's like a very Alex Lifeson rush on this type of song too, which I love. And they have those really cool orchestral hit accents that are going on. And once again, we got another, killer melodic theme solo. But my favorite part of this is like Jordan's beautiful piano breakdown in the middle of it, man. And then it just goes perfectly back into the main guitar melody where Petrucci's just singing over that part with his guitar. I mean, he's literally making his guitar sing, which like, it's easy to say and be like, oh, anyone can do that. And it's like, no, you really can't. It's not anyone can do that. Anyone can play those notes, but to make it sound and feel like that, the way he does on those segments, especially like that, right after the piano part, man. I mean, that's to me is just where it's at right there. That's my favorite part of Dream Theater, when they do that type of stuff.
Yep, I agree. So Aftershocks podcast, you'd be a good judge of this. The intro reminds me of Yes's 90125. I'm not familiar with that.
Maybe they're talking about with those orchestral hits and stuff.
Okay.
I guess a little bit. I'd have to go back and re-listen to it.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, there's definitely Yes elements in that the new Yes too. We've talked about before. I can't remember what song. It sounded like some of the newer Yes with Trevor Rabin and stuff.
Yeah. JG3 says, I knew I would love it. The quirky song titles always end up being good. The Count of Tuscany, Shaman's Trance, which is Bridges in the Sky, Barstool Warrior, Octavarium. It's kind of crazy when you make that list of songs. Like, he's not wrong. He's definitely not wrong, man. Wow. I never thought of it that way. So maybe they should write a song called Pile of Shit in the Street, and then it'll be like my favorite Dream Theater song. Kale McLeish says, Barstool Warrior, 6 Degrees stuff condensed. You could honestly put it on that record and it would fit. The main motif reminds me a lot of the 6 Degrees theme. I could see this one on the second disc of 6 Degrees. I don't know so much about the first disc, but, you know. Aftershocks has heard the record. Aftershocks podcast. If you think this sounds Rush, wait until you hear Transcending Time.
Nice.
Our buddies are trying to get us to listen to the record before release date.
Don't do it, John.
Must be strong. Must be strong. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Kale says, you know, you're dead on with everything you say, and you really are. I mean, this is just. I mean, did we put this on our gateway songs list, or did we have like? I don't remember if we had this on there.
I think there was talk of doing it, and then we're like, I think I talked about it, and then I think you thought it was too proggy, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I think it was like it wasn't one. It was like sort of like our possibly off on the side. You know, it wasn't one of our top 10.
Okay. Nathaniel Rojas, there's no way John is waiting.
Oh, I already know that. I don't know why we're pretending this charade.
I've done it before. There's history, you know. A precedent has been set for me actually being patient enough to wait till release day. So I'm going to try. I make no promises, but you know, we'll see. And honestly, tomorrow's really the only day I can, because next Friday I'll be in the car with my wife driving to New York, and there's no way she's going to put up with it. So there you go. Mike Schollenberger, what's up, man? Good to see you. Barstool is an upper echelon Dream Theater song for sure. Yeah, it's just it's perfect. I mean, very rarely can you say something is like a perfect song. But I think this one is, you know, if it isn't perfect, it's really damn close. All right, so moving on to track 5, Room 137. Your thoughts?
You know, I actually read somewhere that they wanted a song title about a room that was between 136 and 138.
Seriously?
No, I don't know. It was either that or they wanted
seriously.
Or they wanted something with the square root of 18,769 in the title. Now, I don't know if either of these are true. If they are, it's a really stupid thing to write a song about, honestly.
Oh my God.
No,
he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. He's back.
No, but this is probably the only song on the album. I'm not sure that this is a song. To me, this is a riff that just kind of just keeps going. I don't know. It almost feels like a Marilyn Manson Beautiful People with the guitar and drums thing going. It gets saved at the end by this Beatles Sgt. Pepper outro deal that they're doing on the vocals, which is really cool. And I like it's kind of a scary, eerie song. But I mean, did they take more than 5 minutes to write something like this? Like, I can't see that they did. And when I say that this is an eclectic album, to me, this is one of the songs where I'm just like, I mean, it's cool. I don't mind it, but I'm not sure it's a song. And I think that about a lot of stuff that I listen to sometimes. And this is probably one of the few times I'll say that about Dream Theater. It just kind of seems like a riff. It's only, what is it, barely 4.5 minutes. I think it's one of the shorter ones on here.
Yeah. It's interesting because like that's in my notes. It says, you know, it's one of their really interesting / weird song arrangements. It's kind of wonky. I like it. Something about it because it is so different. I think for me it's because of all the layering on the vocals. It's got this really weird kind of feel to it. One of the things I do like about it a lot is the decision, you know, track listing wise, to put it right after Barstool Warrior, because you want to talk about just two things that just oil and water do not fit together. And I just thought that was cool because you come off of just, you know, the majestic beauty that is Barstool Warrior, and you get like, and it's, man, you know, JG3, you know, he says it's a very weird song, and because of that, I really like it. Plus, it flows well into S2N. Yeah, I like it because it's weird. I think it's interesting. You know, your point about it being kind of like Marilyn Manson-esque is a good one. It is kind of like that. So it's got a cool rhythm to it there, but yeah, something about it is just really, really cool. It's so unique.
This would be one of those like non-gateway songs. Like
Yeah.
If you want to tell someone what Dream Theater sounds like, don't play them this, because this is not what they sound like at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need a list of like, okay, what's not Dream Theater-ish?
Yeah.
You know, like on a prog side, or even a gateway safe side. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
Well,
know, like I said, I mean, I'm just being honest when I review this album. You know, I love it as a whole. You know, but it's kind of a goofy song to me. It's just, that's all I think about it.
no,
I don't hate it, you know, but I like his vocals. I do like the verses. I like his vocals on it. And like I said, that kind of Beatlesy thing they do towards the middle and the end is cool enough to and I do kind of think it does flow into the next song. I will definitely agree on that count.
yeah. No, like I say, I was trying to think of other songs in their catalog that are like this one, and I couldn't really come up with anything. If I'm thinking of like, again, I think it's the arrangement that does it, because it doesn't really seem like there's an arrangement. It was just like they wrote some cool parts and were like, you know what, let's just it seems like it was, they started writing this, and then right at the point they were supposed to start arranging it and you know, putting bits and pieces here and moving. They're like, you know what, let's just leave it. Let's just do this as like a quick raw thing and see what happens. Again, I just think because of the uniqueness of it, I think it's cool. You know, I think it's cool.
Well, where do they get the 137? Is this like one floor below on the Overlook Hotel? Because isn't 237 the Shining Room?
I
Like,
was thinking the exact
not even joking
same.
about that.
I know
Like,
you're not. Like that's what I was thinking too. God, I should know this, 'cause I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
I'm pretty sure that. So, like, the guy in 137 looks up and sees the blood coming out of the bathtub. Is that what this is supposed to be?
It is room 237.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no, room 237. Okay, it was a room in the Overlook Hotel. In the book, it was called 217. So whatever. I thought the exact same thing.
Well, in the movie, it's 237. I'm pretty sure, because when Scatman Crothers or whatever is talking to Danny, and he's like, you know, they're talking like, don't you worry about what's in room 237. You don't need to be going up there anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
It's Dick Halloran. It's Dick Halloran.
Right. Well,
that is the character's name. I've never seen the Stephen King version, or this 1973 version, because Stephen King hates it and says it's crap. So I'm like, all right, not watching it.
You've never seen that?
So, ever since I found out Stephen King can't stand it, I'm
God.
like, his opinion's good enough for me.
I love it.
So, moving on from room 137, we have S2N, which I think it stands for sound to noise or something like that. I think that's what Jordan said it was. This one, to me, I love the chorus on this song, and the cool thing about this song to me, it definitely has like a panic attack type of a feel to it. It's, you know, the song just moves the whole time. There's just like an energy to it, kind of like that nervous, twitchy energy, like I said, that you would have on Panic Attack. The guitar solo in this song is awesome, and I love the melody that, you know, latch onto the wheel. That chorus is cool. I don't like the latch onto the wheel when it goes down. That I didn't really care for. I wish they would have kept it on the you know, the one that ascends, because I just thought that was awesome. You know, and one of the cool things, like if you listen to it in headphones, I think you can hear it barely if you're listening to it just on a regular stereo. But right before the last chorus, you get that, you know, with those little breaks. I think it's the beat here and go, wow. Like you get that little, you know, goofy little David Lee Rothism in there. So, and of course we have the Dark Eternal Night ending. Let's do the slow, heavy, simple, sludgy riff, and then Jordan, just rip on the continuum for as long as you want, and then we'll fade out. Like, it was really, really cool. So, Cale McLeish, thank you for correcting me. Signal to noise. Okay, I was close. Let's look at this. Nathaniel Rojas. Fun fact, going back to the previous song, room 137 is at 137 beats per minute. Wow, that's pretty cool. Man, how do guys figure this crap out? Like not you, Nathaniel, but like Dream Theater. Like, you know what we should do? Like, that's insane. But yeah, I really like this song. I think this is a very strong song. I would love to hear it live. I was kind of hoping this would be one of the ones they played live when we saw them, but we did not get it. So
yeah, I never knew what S2N stood for. I thought it was some kind of code, like between like Tom Araya and Jack Blades, like Slayer to Night Ranger, Slayer to Night, you know, like S2N. or maybe like a
have you
like
been
a
saving these things up? Is that what you were doing when you were sick?
or I thought it was like a Star Wars thing. Like there's a character in Star Wars, Skywalker. Like Skywalker to Naboo, like the planet.
It's Naboo. Did you just call Naboo Naboo?
Hey, I don't listen, Greg Lucas over there. I don't know how to pronunciate all this stuff.
You are a moron. Oh my Lord. Anyways,
no, I love the cool. I love the cool spoken word thing with that vocal effect, like you're saying. The coolest part about this song is I love the JP guitar solo.
yes.
It's got all those awesome pinched harmonics and bends, and then you crescendo into that killer, like those ascending arpeggios, and then you got the giant 80s squeal at the end. Like I love those type of guitar solos. And yeah, there's a big chunky 70s groove. There's almost a bit of a Pantera in some of the heaviness of it, in the groove to it. I can see just a little bit of that in this. I think we talked about Pantera on another song, but yeah, great, cool, big, giant groove of a song, and would be very cool to hear it live. And I'm glad I finally know what S to N means, because I was definitely confused there for a while.
Yeah, I know. Jordan had talked about it, and I got it wrong. So, but I'm glad you brought up the guitar solo, because as I said earlier, this is definitely a John Petrucci album, and I think this might be the best solo on the record. It's just something about it is just absolutely frenetic, and it's just total shred, but there's some great melody to it. It's just one of his best solos for sure. I just think it's great. It sounds more like something that he would put on his solo record, because like he can just like wank, and it doesn't matter. Whereas at least he has to be somewhat structured. So but this one he's like, no, I'm just gonna wank. Screw it. Like I'm just gonna go off on this one. So, alrighty, our next track, At Wit's End. You are up,
man. I've told you before my thoughts on this song. Just killer riff mixed with Mangini's drumming, and those piano chords behind it are perfect. This song, you used the word urgency, and I'll also say it's immediate. It's just a frantic urgency to this riff, and you're just like, it feels like you're just kind of holding on, ready to go off the rails, but you stay on. Like this guitar just keeps doing this riff, this killer riff. And there's an amazing piano breakdown. It's probably one of my favorite piano moments that Jordan's ever done.
Yep.
And then it goes into what we've mentioned, and I've mentioned 8 million times, that epic soaring singular melody guitar line behind the "Don't Leave Me Now," the vocal part. And there's very few songs that I literally, the hair on the back of my neck stand up. But when that part comes in those last about 2 minutes or whatever the song from that part out, it's just absolutely amazing.
Yep. It's
probably one of my favorite songs of all time of theirs.
Yeah, it's a crazy juxtaposition, isn't it? Getting into the melodic part at the end, it's like it's so different. Yep. And it's not even like they do what they normally do, which is put that in the middle of a song, like heavy, mellow, heavy. Like no, it's like heavy. Okay, now the mellow thing, and then it fades out, and then of course they fade it back in, which is the room mic sound, which is cool. So yeah, I'm with you. This is a phenomenal song. Riff wise, this is definitely one of his best ever. The moving stuff, like it goes like it's really cool. Going into the second verse with just the bass and drums following each other,
Yep,
it sounds fat, like it's just amazing. Those staccato riffs, when they do stuff like that, I always love when Dream Theater pulls those out. And they do it again, later in the record. And I'm going to piggyback on what you said. That ending is just absolutely perfect. I agree with you with the piano behind everything, and oh man, it's again this record, like everywhere you look, there's just high points. And I mean, that's the one thing, as I was writing my notes, JG earlier was talking about, fanboying in his review of the album that he wrote, but it's like I had a hard time like that with my notes, because every song there's just something. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. And even the quote unquote low points, like I said earlier, they'll fit on any other record pretty much strongly, and some it might be the best song on that record. I mean, this is just a great record, and I think this song is a perfect example of it. And I think I might agree with you. This might be in my top Dream Theater songs list as well. This one's damn good.
Well, I grabbed it fairly early when we did our draft, I think, because I did not want.
Yes.
I was worried about you taking this. I don't know about I wasn't sure about the other guys because I don't totally know their taste, but I thought there was a chance you might grab this, so I'm like, I better get it.
Yep. Nathaniel Rojas says, At Wit's End is my favorite song of the record. Multiple all-time Dream Theater high points within this one song. JG3 says, I actually really like it, and I have no great reason for liking it. I just like how it fades out and fades back in and flows into the ballad. All right. Well, let's see. Yep, JG3, again. The ending solo could go on for another 2 minutes, and I'd be cool with it. It's a great ending solo. Yeah, that's, to me, it feels like the best of times, that huge, majestic Petrucci solo ending the song on that big fade out. Like, that's how it felt to me. And I'm a big fan of that part of that song. So, all right, now here's one of my top songs. And this is one of the two on the record I think are basically perfect. And of course, we're speaking of Out of Reach. To me, the intro has one of my favorite John Petrucci solos. You would have known that had my internet not crapped out on the episode we were supposed to do best John Petrucci moments. So it's on my list. It also has one of my favorite James vocals. There's something, it's definitely his, high, kind of like tenor, like breathy voice, but something about it is so emotive. I love it. And they always seem to have on most records that short, concise, like 4-minute ballad. And they're very hit or miss for me. This one, though, I think might be my favorite. I think everything about it works. The whole song is kind of a build to that big, majestic ending. And it's just got such a cool, I don't know. There's just so much emotion to it. And all the parts work. And even Mangini doing some busier drum stuff here and there, it just fits. It's like perfectly placed. This is another one of the songs, when I first listened to the record, it's one of the ones I went back and listened to immediately. And to this day, I still will replay it and replay it and replay it. I absolutely love this song.
Yeah, you got me to sort of take a new look at this song. I'll say for the 300th time, I hate the opening lyric. There's something about this girl. I still cringe. I cringe when he says that part. But I think they put this at the perfect spot on the album. Like, man, we need to kind of just chill out. Let's just relax here for a second. Like, I think the placement of this is great. And Cale said something about, was that the idea of fading in and out, Wit's End, and then kind of going into this?
Yeah, he said, he says, is that supposed to be the idea? That the other ending of At Wit's End is meant to be a transition into Out of Reach? It's a good thought. I mean, it could be.
Yeah, I don't know, but it does, kind of flow. And like I said, the fact that they put this here, let's just kind of relax for a second, and it's mellow. And I agree with you. I love James' vocals on this. And I think you put it on your gateway songs, like, if I remember correct.
Mm-hmm.
And when you did, I was kind of like, huh? And I don't know. I just hadn't really, I hadn't given this song a whole lot of thought or listening to. And it wasn't just because of that opening lyric. It's just because I just had kind of sort of skipped it before. But going back and listening to it, man, it's definitely a great tune.
Yeah, it's something about it. It stands out. It's always stood out to me. It's just one of those immediate listens that lasts. It kind of, I hate using this term, but stands the test of time. But I always come back to it. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, this melody is just awesome. So this is definitely one that I hope to hear live someday. I would love to actually hear this one. Maybe we'll get to see that when we go see the show on November 12th. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
See, our show was on a Friday. Watch, we're going to get stuck with like a Monday or a Tuesday reschedule.
Maybe you can get Jeff Tate to play it if we go to that show.
I know. Hey, Jeff, can you throw in some Dream Theater for us tonight, man?
Right.
So, all right, moving on to okay, do we consider this the last song of the album, since Viper King is technically supposed to be a bonus track?
That's another one of my beefs. What do you mean it's a bonus track? Like,
I've never understood
you
that.
record 10 songs for the album or you don't. Like, come on.
To me, I'm wondering if they're like, we think this song sucks, but we're gonna put it out there just in case. So we're gonna call it a bonus track. Like, oh, we didn't mean to. Don't take it as seriously as the others.
Yeah, I think it's kind of they're saying it in tongue in cheek as a joke. I'm not totally sure on that. I don't know. I never actually. Well, I bought the vinyl when we were at the meet and greet.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I just basically listened to it on Spotify because the only physical I have is a vinyl, and I don't have a turntable, and I kind of want to keep it intact because I think we did have it signed. I have it signed, so
yeah.
But
so Pale Blue Dot.
Yeah, this is like kind of a sneaky, really good song. I love the spacey sci-fi aspect of this song. It's like,
how are you in my notes so much tonight? That's exactly one of the things that I had written down.
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious. I mean, you know for a fact one of my favorite bands is Starset, and it's like every song they've ever done is about space and the great frontier and science and whatever. But you got those cool space sound bites in the intro. And the killer drums that start out this and that guitar riff, and I love Jordan's like ominous chords on the keys. You feel like you're isolated in outer space when you listen to some of these chords that Jordan's putting behind this stuff. Like, I don't know, it just really gives that feel of being out there and just kind of looking down on everything and sort of being all alone to a sense and looking at the chaos that's going on. They just have a really good way of conveying the lyrics sometimes on there, and this is one of those for sure.
I used the word ominous. I don't know if you would agree with that. Like, I was trying to like figure out how to describe it. It kind of feels ominous, and it's weird. Like, I have it down about the space thing too, and I wanted to ask you a question about that. I said, are we thinking that? I mean, I get it that the lyrics are what they are, but are we maybe getting that vibe more so because of Wayne's stage graphics for the song? Because I wondered about that, like, because I do picture that in my head as I'm, especially with the live record that came out. We get to see it again, so I wonder if that's kind of like coloring our opinion of it.
Well, I mean, that's the idea, is that when you are in outer space, you look down and Earth looks like a pale blue dot. It's like so it's sort of like this idea of we can't be the only thing that's out there. Obviously, look how minuscule we look when you're in outer space. You know what I mean? Compared to the rest of the universe.
Isn't that a Carl Sagan thing? Like pale blue dot? I could swear that.
I mean, he might have been the one that coined the phrase, but that's what it pertains to, is being out there and looking down and seeing, the Earth and how tiny it really is compared to everything else.
So Cale McLeish says, I love the almost Star Wars string sound just before the verse kicks in. I have that in my notes too. There's something a little bit Star Warsy right there. Yeah. JG3, I've altered the feel. Pray I don't alter it anymore. Nice. Nathaniel Rojas, okay, I had it right. He says, Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot speech is one of the all-time best ideas for a Dream Theater song. Yes, the lyrics are directly from Carl Sagan's speech that he gave. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so I had it right. Okay. Cale, another good point, because this is in my notes as well. As much as I love Mangini's drums on the other albums, Pale Blue Dot is the absolute top of his drum parts, at least until the new album comes out. Yeah, that was definitely something I had. I mean, the opening drums, with that, like how is someone's hand moving that fast? I always picture, if Portnoy comes back, one of these, if that was ever a thing to happen, like this maybe being one of the songs where it's like, I can't pull that one off. We can't play Pale Blue Dot. Like, to me, this one kind of feels like I don't know if this is a good way to describe it, because it's kind of like opposing terminology, but a short Dream Theater epic. It's another example of them wanting to take their extended songwriting and kind of condense it down. And I think, on other albums, this is a 15, 16-minute Nightmare to Remember length type of a song. And on this one, it's, 9.5 minutes. So, again, I'll double down with you. The outer space feel, I have that here, it's ominous. And that middle section is just, I mean, if you're a Dream Theater fan, I don't think you can be a Dream Theater fan and not love the middle of this song. That's just everything we come to listen to Dream Theater for. Take my money, here's the concert ticket. Okay, if they do that all night, you're like, sweet, I got my money's worth. So, man, I didn't know this. Wow. JG3, it's amazing that Pale Blue Dot is shorter than the Alien.
Yeah, what is it,
Wow.
like 8.5 minutes to probably 7 or something for Pale Blue Dot?
No, Pale Blue Dot is like 9 something, or I think it's like 850 or something. But
No,
now
8:50 to 10.
I will say this: they have been quoted as saying recently, they're doing the interviews that they're releasing from Dream Theater headquarters, where they kind of have they had this songwriting idea in mind. As I said, for Distance Over Time was, let's condense the songwriting and keep ourselves a little disciplined. And they said that on A View from the Top of the World, they removed that restriction. So they're like, if you want to go crazy, just go crazy. So,
Well, we know because there's a 23-minute song on there.
I know.
The title song, right?
I really can't wait to hear these records back to back. I mean, I think that's the thing that's got me the most excited for the new album, is to hear it backed up against this one, because I think this one is so strong. And the people that we've talked to that have heard this record, A View from the Top of the World, the new one, I should say, have said that it's in their top 3. So I'm really interested to hear if you can kind of put these together as like one giant double disc. So, all right, let's see. JG3 says the Alien is 9 minutes and 30, and Pale Blue Dot is 8 minutes and 30. Wow, I thought it was a little longer than that. All right, well, I was wrong. There we go.
Yeah, I think, and we sort of touched on this before. The two, after hearing the Alien, Barstool Warrior and At Wit's End, those two remind me sort of the most of what's going on in the Alien, and I think it's going to be and we've kind of sort of in agreement that those are almost maybe our two favorites. I know you love Out of Reach, but those are kind of like our two, like, oh man, these are just sort of just mind-blowing songs on the album, and that's what the Alien sort of, it feels like those, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of get a Pale Blue Dot feel or vibe off of the Alien. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I guess theme-wise, but I still think sonically it sort of reminds me a little more of Barstool Warrior.
Okay.
I don't know. I got to listen. It's been a while since I actually listened to Alien. Like when it first came out, I heard it, like, I listened to it almost every day, a couple times.
Yeah.
But like you said, yeah, I want to, it would be interesting putting these back to back now. And like, we're not going to hear anything that sounds like, well, the song we're about to talk about here, Viper King.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going to hear anything on this. I'll guarantee you, you don't even, we can make a bet if you want. Like, there's not gonna be anything that sounds like this.
Well, they've never done anything that sounds like this before, and they probably won't, again.
Yeah.
I'll say it, man. I love this song. I've never met very many people that like this. I think it's awesome. Again, this is one that just stuck with me, and I do go back and listen to it over and over again. I love the riff. It's just it's such a unique thing for them, and that like really heavy Deep Purple type of vibe that it has. With the classic organ sound and the dig 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 dig, that like shuffle, almost shuffle-ish type of groove.
It's a boogie woogie guitar part, basically. I mean, this is Deep Purple meets Joe Satriani Satch Boogie. That's exactly what the song is to me.
Yep.
It's super bluesy riff, but James is really top of his range on a lot of this, which is cool.
Yeah.
I have in my notes, we already talked about this, losing a few points for being called a bonus track. But I mean, I say that jokingly, but yeah, a unique song. I don't. Is this supposed to be about like a car or a plane or what is the Viper King actually?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay, I thought maybe it was like a race car or something, but I don't know.
Well, it says something about genetic code, and I was like, what the hell? I've actually never looked up the lyrics.
No, maybe it's about a race car robot.
Right. I wonder if the lyrics are out there. I'd like to see. Like I said, I don't pay attention to the lyrics a ton unless they really stand out. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, most of the time they're just words, is what I found. Like there's the music and then the lyrics are the words.
Oh yeah, I think it's a car. Yeah. Let's see.
Is it
venomous by design, lying idle, biding time, bore down the clutch, tore up the road, 600 horses, genetic code. Lightning speed, the road she bends, slam down the brakes, losing my ass end. Drive on, push to the limit, my Viper King, we're flying high. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Kale says, put that comment up there.
All right. It really feels like they're going back to the Perfect Strangers cover for fun and then jamming after that. Yeah, it's definitely got that Deep Purple feel to it, doesn't it?
Yep.
JG3 says, do I like it? Me. Is it because it has a Van Halen groove to it? Subconsciously, that might be it. That very well could be, because I'm a huge fan of the shuffle songs in the Van Halen catalog, like Hot for Teacher, Pleasure Dome, stuff like that. So, all right, here we go. JG3. It was funny before the album was released because James was interviewed about his lyrics on At Wit's End, Out of Reach, and Viper King, and he was getting deeply personal on the first two, and then Viper King is a car.
I thought Mangini wrote the lyrics on this.
No.
Or was that like a myth?
No, his was... Someone actually put it in the comments. Whichever one of you guys put in the comments that which of these songs was Mangini's lyric, let us know.
Oh man, I swore it was Viper King. Are you sure on that?
JG3 says no. Says it was written by James.
Are you saying our fans know more than me? I'm sure they do.
Yeah, go figure.
I don't know anything. So
there we go. All right, so Jay and Kale both said Room 137 was Mike Mangini.
Oh, okay. All right.
So maybe that's why you're hating on that song. You don't like drummers writing lyrics. Who knew?
Probably.
You're a biased keyboard player.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's the breakdown. Again, my biggest takeaways from this really, again, it's a total guitar record, and to me, it's just a big fu to people that were kind of like on the fence after the Astonishing. And there was a lot of talk, like, okay, people that weren't a fan of the first two Mangini records, then they come out with the Astonishing, and people were, you either love it or hate it. And so this record really feels like an answer to that. Like, no, we still got it. And it's aggressive. Even the mellow songs have like kind of an aggression to them in the immediacy and the emotion, I think. And I think that this is a successful experiment where the self-titled record was a failed experiment, because the self-titled record, they also said, well, we're trying to condense our songwriting down into, shorter, more concise things. And I don't think it worked on that record. We'll get into details when we do our deep dive into that album. But, on that record, to me, it didn't work. It did work on this one, in my opinion. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I think this record was necessary because after the Astonishing, which I still will debate to this day, is not a Dream Theater record. It is a John Petrucci solo album, and we can debate that till the sun comes up. But this was a necessary, organic. Hey, let's all go rent that rehearsal studio that they rented. Let's jam for a month and a half, and let's record while we're jamming, and let's write while we're jamming. And let's just all have input, and just very, like we've used the word like 10 times, organic. This had to be done this way. If they did it any other way, I think it would have been a giant misstep. And I think they would start kind of losing the essence of what Dream Theater is. And it sounds like the new album, they sort of did the same thing, went back to that approach, which is awesome. Let's all get in a room, let's jam, let's not trade files. Other than, I think James, he wasn't there, but
yeah, he was in Canada.
But when it came to the actual writing of the the melody lines and the music and whatever, it was done very organically for the new album, it sounds like, and that's what this one was. And it shows, man. I mean, it shows in the recording, it shows in the performances, and like you said, we use the word urgent and immediate, and that's what it sounds like. It sounds like, oh man, that's a great riff. Okay, let's jam on that. Okay, let's jam on a little bit more. And I don't know how these guys wrote songs in the past. I don't know if it was, if it was a lot of like, hey, I've got a bunch of ideas, I'll throw them out when we get there, or was it all just sort of like, let's make it all up on the fly,
Right. I think from the stuff that I've seen, it's pretty much written in the studio. Like, they book studio time and then they start writing. And then they kind of like piece it together. But it was, the story has been well told on Distance Over Time. They lived together for a month, they all stayed there for, was 5 weeks or something like that. And they banged it out there. Again, both of us used the word immediacy. And I think that's the best way to describe this record. The thing that's most impressive to me is that when you have a record like this by any band, the records that tend to hit you, this is amazing, like right off the bat, they kind of don't last. But this is one of those rare occasions where it does last. It does stay with you, and you do still listen to it like, oh my God, this is great. So I'll be very interested to hear interviews regarding the new record. Spoiler alert, we might be getting one of the guys on. Double spoiler alert, it might be during our normal time slot so that people in the chat can actually ask questions of whoever we get. But I'd be very interested to ask the question, how much influence did the success of the writing style on Distance Over Time, how much influence did that have on what you did for the new record? It seems like kind of like a generic question, but it's like, bands generally don't want to go back to, especially bands like Dream Theater, they don't want to go back to the well and just repeat themselves. But I really wonder if maybe they kind of did, because this record was just absolutely critically acclaimed. The fans loved it. You could see, the tours were sold out again. I mean, this record was just absolutely, I hate to call it a comeback because, for diehard fans like you and I, we never jumped ship, but I talked to a lot of fans that were like, I'm not liking this Mangini stuff. I'm not doing this, and I think this one brought him back in. So I'll be very interested to, again, bookending A View from the Top of the World with this one is going to be interesting. I'm kind of fascinated by that. So I think, if we, or when we do get one of the guys on, I'd love to ask questions of that nature,
I wish we could see, like, just put a camera in from beginning to end when they're writing these songs. I know you can see online, oh, here's a little bit of us jamming on whatever. I don't care about that. I want to see the process. Like, it's just fascinating to me. Like, I want to see them in the room and John going, okay, well, this is what I'm going to play, and then my end going, well, I'm going to play this. And then George goes, okay, well, I'll start playing I want to see it just built from the ground up. Just one song. Like, the entire process from start to finish. I would just kill to be a fan to sit there and watch that.
Yeah.
I think it would just be absolutely amazing.
It'd be hilarious because, like, in public, like, oh, everything's all hunky-dory and, this, that, and the other. And we all of a sudden get the fly on the wall view, and it's Petrucci, and they're like, okay, this riff goes like this. All right, Mangini, here's what you're playing. Yeah. No. That's not what I told you. No. The snare's on the 17. Damn you. Mangini, don't make me call Portnoy. He's just a raging tyrant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that video of Sons of Apollo. Was it the second album? They're working the song out with Portnoy. I can't remember what song it is. Which is It's kind of cool, but it's not. It's not in the same. That's kind of, I don't want to say minor leagues compared to this, because it's a great band and I love their songs. But I just love to see a start to finish. Okay, this is how we're doing. Like, who directs the whole thing? Because somebody has to be in charge. I mean, I guess it's Petrucci.
Petrucci and Rudis, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like at the same time, I don't know. I just want to see it. That's all.
No, yeah. Nathaniel Rojas, man, he explains it well. He said, it's really hard to explain how good this album is after the self-titled. That record really made me concerned about the future of the band. Distance Over Time changed all that. I think that is a very prevalent opinion, because I know I've talked to people that basically had that, that they were not fans of Dramatic Turn and the self-titled record. And then, especially, we talked about The Astonishing. So again, I mean, I hate using the term comeback record, but I mean, it really kind of is. And it's almost like they're in a kind of like a resurgence, and I've made that comment when I've talked about The Astonishing, but it's kind of, they're kind of in like a second, I wouldn't say peak, but they're kind of on the upswing again.
Well, I'll agree with part of that. I mean, it's a known fact that people that don't like dramatic turn of events are idiots. I'm sorry. That's way too harsh. They're complete morons.
I was waiting for that. In your defense, I would say the same thing about people that dog falling into infinity.
No, sorry, they're actually complete and total morons, is what I meant to say.
Don't you want to use like Dream Theater terms like knuckle dragging troglodytes?
Yeah.
We have to have long words and a lot of syllables.
I was thinking huge drooling losers too. That's probably.
Oh my God! Yeah, Man, JG3 says, their studio process was so fascinating on Chaos and Progress, and I'd love to see more of that. Yeah, that was fun. I really liked that documentary. That was really cool. I got rid of all my physical like CDs and stuff like that, but I kept that one because I do have the extended version of Systematic Chaos for that reason. yeah, I mean, overall, dude, this record just kicks ass. This is definitely a very top record for me, and it was easy to go and have to re-listen to it a bunch to get my notes going and everything. And I actually found myself forgetting to take notes a lot of the time because I was just kind of digging it, getting into it. So, I love it. This is definitely one of the best records for me.
It'll be cool to see this on the 20-year anniversary when they're all like 79. You know?
Yeah.
A Barstool Warrior.
Mangini's still he's still that fast. Like, all right, we have proof he's an android.
Exactly.
So, well, dude, it was awesome having you back. I got to say, it was fun talking to my buddy Matt Wardlaw about Score. That was a blast. And then, last week or 2 weeks ago was, me having to filibuster for an hour and 15 minutes was pretty nerve wracking, but hopefully I held down the fort while you were gone. And, but yeah,
it was cool, man. I have one more comment I want to make. A lot of people were piling on, or you were piling on a lot of people about Megadeth Risk, I think.
Yes.
And all I'm going to say is, hey, at least it's Megadeth that they're into, right? That's the cool thing about it. Like, you can, I think that's cool that you can like what I think is a pretty lame album, but it's an awesome band. So, hey, who cares? At least you like the band. You know what I mean? There's something to be said for that.
Of all times to not mute yourself, it's when you're giving props in any way to the pile of garbage that is Risk.
No, I'm not giving props to it. I'm giving props to someone that, hey, at least they still like Megadeth. And I know, like Kale, like we've talked about, like some of the newer Maidens that he absolutely loves that I think are terrible. But hey, dude's listening to new Maiden. What's wrong with that? You know what I mean?
All right.
It's better than like listening to some other complete, garbage. So
all right.
I don't know. That was my point. It was like, hey man, at least it's still Megadeth, right? So
yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, but no, it was like I say, it was weird not doing the show with you, man. It's like you and I always like text each other, like the day of or the day before, like, man, I can't wait to do the show. And it was weird having to go a couple without you. It felt different. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I definitely miss it, man. I mean, this to me is like, I have so much fun doing this show. And like I said, I really did reflect when I went to that Rush movie. When I left there on the drive home, I was jamming some Rush live, and I was just thinking about our show. And I was like, is this like weird in a way that I missed our show to go see this movie because our show wouldn't exist without this band. So I'm still always going to keep kind of thinking about that in the back of my mind. I don't know. It's just weird.
Right.
But yeah, man, this is such a fun show, and everyone who's, we're getting such great, awesome response, and we love all of the interaction from everyone.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're going to have that awesome show in what is it? The Friday the album comes out.
Yeah. I was actually just going to say, like, normally our next show would be 2 weeks from tonight, which would be October 21st, but we're actually bumping it to Friday that week on the 22nd. And we are going to do our, not a deep dive, but we're going to give our immediate reactions to the new record. And our buddy Kale is going to wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning over there in Australia, and he is going to jump on as a special third guest host with us to kind of dig into the record and give our initial visceral thoughts on it. So that should be really fun. So I'd like to see everybody, jump in for that. So that's going to be a good time. And we got some cool stuff coming up. Like I say, we're working on getting an interview with one of the band members, which, they're doing press for the record now. So chances are pretty good that we will get one. And Aiken, who runs Heavy Metal Television, it's his network, the CMS network. He's actually talking to them about getting it on one of our show nights at 7:30 again, so that we can actually do it live. And then, the viewers can jump in and actually ask questions themselves. So, I mean, an interactive interview, as I can't speak, an interactive interview with the band, I think would be a kick-ass thing to do.
Do we know yet for a fact can we confirm whether anyone from the band has watched any of our shows yet or no? Is there any way of knowing?
I do not know. I do know that James has watched at least a snippet, because when I did the cameo to get the show intro, he calls me JT. And that proves that he watched it, because on my Star Wars show, the Nerf Herder Council, I don't go by John. I go by JT, which is my family nickname, because my brother AJ is one of my co-hosts, and he goes by AJ. His name's Adam. And so when James did our cameo, he says, you're watching or listening to the podcast Talking Into Infinity with JT and Brian. So I left JT on the screen one time for one of our shows. I forgot to change it after doing the Nerf Herder Council the week before. So I was like, how would he know I'm named JT? And oh my God, he actually watched part of the show. So, yeah.
I mean, you would have to think that there would have to be, wouldn't there just be an ounce of curiosity knowing that literally we are the only podcast dedicated to this band? Like it's not like AC/DC where like, oh, you're doing a pod, or Van Halen. Like you think Brian Johnson cares about an AC/DC podcast,
Yeah.
There's 7 million of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just curious, like, would they have, obviously you have time and they're not even touring right now. I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to sit down and listen to every show, but like just for 10 minutes to go, what is this about,
Gibson Les Paul is probably John Petrucci. So, he's sitting here just bagging on us and going back and forth, and he's actually the guy.
he's gonna get on the show and like pull off this mask, and it's gonna be like a Scooby-Doo moment. We're gonna be like, Zoink. He would have got away with it too if it was for those meddling kids. It's like,
oh my God, that would be phenomenal. That would absolutely be phenomenal, man. Yeah, JG3. We are all secretly Dream Theater members. Yeah, the chat tonight is all 5 of them.
Yeah. That would be amazing though if at least one of them like just got in there as a different name or something. Yeah.
JG3 says, "I'm John Mayone. Kale is Charlie Dominici."
Well, I know how tall Kale is, and I know how tall Dominici is. I'm going to say that's a no on that one.
Yeah, Kale, I forgot to tell you, I'm Portnoy. Oh, my gosh.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, I am Batman. So, yeah. Dude, thanks for jumping on again, Brian. It was great to hang out finally, going to get back to some normalcy on here. So, as you said, the next show is going to be on Friday. This next time, not Thursday, so show note. It will be Friday, October 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are going to be doing our immediate reactions to the new record, A View from the Top of the World. I'm going to do my very best to not listen to it before that day. No promises, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. So,
we'll be back on our regular. We won't be on Stranger Danger anymore. I still laugh every time you type a comment that says Stranger Danger.
It was so funny because when I posted that on Twitter today, like, hey, it's going to the Stranger Danger page, I said I had to put, yes, we're not joking, because oh man, it sounded so terrible.
John was in Facebook jail. He said something terrible about Fernando von Arb from Crocus, and that got him banned.
Where the hell did you pull that one out of? What the?
Hey man, Crocus has eyes everywhere. That's the thing.
Crocus has eyes everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's
They're not they're not just screaming in the night over nothing.
How do you know all this stuff? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No. So yeah, I am. If you do contact the show page, it'll have to wait until I think Sunday. We're back because I got put in Facebook jail for 3 days because somebody was on a music post and they were trying to talk about how child molestation was acceptable, and I called them a pussy, and I got put in Facebook jail. But that guy's talking about that. He's fine. Like, okay, Facebook, I think you got to fix your algorithms.
I'd say so.
That seems a little backwards. So, but then again, I hate social media, and that's what I get for commenting on stuff. I should just keep my mouth shut. So, anyways, yeah, so the next show, when we come to you guys next, we will all have heard A View from the Top of the World. So that is going to be an awesome, fun show. Again, our good buddy Cale Rishog is going to be jumping on as third host all the way from Australia at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Cale McLeish.
Yes, Cale McLeish. So it's definitely going to be a great time. So we got to thank all you guys for hanging out with us. JG3 says, thanks for the show, guys. No, man, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We love getting your guys' opinion on stuff. Again, we've said it many times, but having you guys be a part of the show is the coolest part for us because it kind of drives the conversation. We get, some humor out of it, some great opinions, and some good information. So, yeah. Cale Rishog. That's right. It's Cale Rishog. So
that's Adam Rishog. That's Cale McLeish.
I know. I said it wrong. I'm so used to calling you Kale. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to his last name now.
Hey,
Yeah,
we
so-
only have one fan from Austria. You could at least get his name right.
There we go with it again. Nathaniel Rojas, thanks for jumping in with us, man. He says, awesome show. Well, thank you. Glad you had a good time. Like I said, we're here every other week, so usually it's Thursday, but again, we will be seeing you guys again at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, October 22nd, where we will be digging into A View from the Top of the World to get our very first reactions to it. Again, we are here every other Thursday, usually at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, talkingintoinfinity.com, or the cmsnetwork.com. Again, you can download the show in audio format pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. And if you want to see video replays, just go to our YouTube page, or big suggestion here, go check out Heavy Metal Television. It's got a ton of content on there, not just us. We're like a drop in the bucket on that network, but they have a ton of kick-ass shows. The Classic Metal Show, the Aftershocks podcast, they jumped in here tonight to talk a little bit. Poppet's Corner, Skull Sessions with Bob Nalbandian. So there's a ton of great stuff on Heavy Metal Television, so make sure you go check that out. So, Brian, it has been an awesome, awesome show, and good to see you. I will see you in 2 weeks and a day.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Take it easy.